why I spit Patron on this microphone. Watch out, I'm in the zone, worth for everything I own. Life is March Madness, one mistake, then you go. Yeah, I had a stroke, but your boy still rhyming. And Fresh got locked, but the squad still wildin'. Catch me in any city in the hood, we grindin'.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is, can Joe Joyce beat the top 10 heavyweights? Which is something we're going to have to start considering, seeing as how he just demolished Dillian Dubois, with all due respect. All right, so Trill Dollar Bill, I'm going to start this one off with you.
Okay.
We're going by Ring Magazine's top 10. So Trill, can Joe Joyce beat Kubrat Pulev?
Yes, he can. I think that Joe Joyce should be on this list. I think there's other guys on this list that don't even believe that deserve to be on there before him. You know what I'm saying? Like, put some respect on Joe Joyce's name. Y'all got Luis Ortiz in there and no Joe Joyce. Y'all are crazy. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Oscar Rivas, but you got him in there and no Joe Joyce. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, hey.
All right. So you say yes to Pulev. Ned, can Joe Joyce beat Kubrat Pulev?
Growing up, they used to tell me a story about the tortoise and the hare. And, the hare was so slick, quick, and jubilant. It moves all over the place. And the tortoise took its time to accomplish his goals. And in the end, the tortoise ended up beating the hare by a hair. And this is the tortoise and the tortoise. I'm going with Joe Joyce.
Gee. Oh, man. I'm be honest here. No. You know what I'm saying? Man, listen, I don't see him beating anybody on that list but one person, and that's Povetkin.
Why would you, bro? Just follow.
Wait.
My bad. I'm
follow.
for a long time, so
All right. You guys just want to just rip it. He did Trill. It ain't even Trill. If it ain't Trill, it's G. That's why it's Trilogy, I guess. I don't know. Go ahead, G. Can he beat Kubrat Pulev? Can he beat Kubrat Pulev is all I asked you.
No. Too slow.
I mean, I ain't Pulev slow in his own right. Joe Joyce should arguably be an Olympic gold medalist. And I think what Joe Joyce taught me in his last fight is that I've been underrating him. He finds a way to win. He's not the fastest fellow, but his boxing IQ is very high. And he displayed that against Dillian Dubois. So my question would be, do I think that Dillian Dubois at this stage in his career is better than Pulev? Is Dillian Dubois faster than Pulev? Well, I mean, I would say I would give Dillian – I would say as far as athletically, I think Dillian Dubois is a better athlete than Pulev, but Pulev's boxing knowledge should be higher just given his experience in the game. I would go Joe Joyce over Kubrat Pulev. I think Joe Joyce would beat Kubrat Pulev. I think most people would be more worried about fighting Joe Joyce at this point than fighting Kubrat Pulev. So I would pick Joe Joyce to beat Kubrat Pulev. All right. And so the next heavyweight is Oscar Rivas. Trill Dollar Bill, do you think Joe Joyce can beat Oscar Rivas?
Still, like we're talking about the Olympian Joe Joyce. He's knocked out everybody, stopped everybody except for one person that he's been in the ring with. And you know what I'm saying? As a late comer, and he only got 12 fights, he's doing what you want a heavyweight to do. He's stopping him. And he stopped the young guy, Du Bois, made him quit. Listen, I don't see Oscar Rivas, he's cool, but Joe Joyce's IQ, man, I got Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce needs to be on that list.
Ned?
Yeah, I agree with Trez. Oscar Rivas reminds me, like, his fighting style, it's similar to Daniel Dubois. Like he'll try to hunt down Joyce, or he'll try to throw everything at Joyce. And if Joyce's chin can hold up against Rivas, I got Joyce. Point blank, period.
G.
but I misspoke earlier.
And
No,
now you see why I had to tell you to follow the bouncing ball. Go ahead.
pardon me. I do believe Joe Joyce could beat Rivas, and only reason why, for the most part, Rivas is what, like 6'1", like I forgot his height, but the height reach disadvantage that he had is too much. And Joyce, he punches real hard, regardless of how slow he is. All he has to do is just jab the shorter guy. It's gonna be real tough for Oscar Rivas. So I will give Joyce that one.
Yeah, I think height and physicality is going to be the difference in this fight. I think Joe Joyce showed that he has a beautiful jab that he can take advantage of. And not only the jab, but the timing. His speed may not be, with the elites. He may not be as fast as the elite fighters in the division, but he showed that he can offset that with timing, and he has a good jab. He also has the height advantage, the size advantage. I think at some point he will find Rivas, and he would stop Rivas probably. So I would give him the nod over Oscar Rivas. And we saw Rivas in there with Dillian. We saw Dillian do work. Not to say that Joyce and Dillian are the same, but you can see that height helped Dillian a lot in that fight, and I think it will help Joyce as well. So I'll pick Joe Joyce over Oscar Rivas. And I also want to say I second what Trill said. I haven't seen Oscar Rivas fight in a long time, so I would definitely advocate for swapping Joe Joyce with Oscar Rivas for sure.
Yeah, last time we seen Rivas, he was getting outpointed by a Dillian White. So I don't know.
Joyce hasn't fought in opposition quite like a Dillian anyways. I mean, because you can argue that Dillian's in the top 5. Who in the top 5 has Joyce fought?
Well, he just beat Dubois. Not to say Dubois is in the top 5, but what I'm saying is he's Olympic gold. Well, he's Olympic silver medalist, right? He's the British Commonwealth champion. But you can't downplay the quality of heavyweights that have been coming out of the UK, that have been coming out of Great Britain. You gotta, So.
But this is, I'll say what Eddie Hearn said, because they asked him about Dubois compared to like the other guys in boxing, and he's like, "Listen here, there's UK boxing and then there's world boxing. Dillian is a world elite fighter. Dubois, he's still a UK fighter. There's levels to this. So you can't downplay Oscar Rivas having a slot above Dubois because Oscar fought dude that's arguably in the top 5. He's definitely in the top 5.
Joe Joyce, bro?
You talking like he beat Dillian, though.
No, I didn't say he beat him. I'm just saying he fought him.
Yeah.
They fought the common opponents, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, common opponent, you got what they fought? Brian Jennings, right? They both fought Brian Jennings. You want to say, and then you got Dillian White. Oscar Rivas lost to a Dillian White. You know what I'm saying? But, Joe Joyce knocked out a former champion. Your guy, Stavern. Mm-hmm. So that's where the beef coming from? You know what I'm saying? Because he stopped the former heavyweight champion of the world.
Good stuff, Trevor. Good stuff.
All right, easy rebuttal. At the time he fought Stavern probably wasn't even ranked in the top 15.
Stop it. He was your fighter at one point, man.
Okay.
Well, here's what I'm saying. And I think this is all Trill's saying as well. You have an Olympic silver medalist. You have a man who's beaten a former heavyweight champion of the world. You have a man who just beat an upcoming prospect, right? And then you have a guy whose claim to fame was that he lost to Dillian.
He went the distance with Dillian.
Like a year ago. When was that fight? Like almost 2 years ago.
He lost every round.
Except the one he dropped Dillian.
Yeah.
But my point is he's been inactive. So you have this guy who's inactive. Joyce has had 2 fights. One fight he didn't look too good and then he come in good shape, but that was the quarantine weight. You know what I'm saying? Joyce was eating good. You can't get mad at Joyce for that. You know what I'm saying? But then Joyce got back in shape to whoop Dubois. All I'm saying is you know, I'm not, hold on. Let me. Does it even show when? Yeah, he said he's been on the list for 41 weeks. I mean, yeah, I would just say for me, I would be okay with replacing Oscar Rivas with Joe Joyce. That's just in my opinion. And there is a difference between world class and British boxing, but Joe Joyce has proven he's world class by being an Olympic silver medalist, beating Bermain Stavern, and what he just did to Daniel Dubois, who was considered one of the best in the UK. That fight wasn't even close. Well, you know, it was close, but you know what I mean, in the end. So Michael Hunter, $1 dollar bill. Do you think that Joe Joyce could beat Michael Hunter?
I believe that that's the fight. I believe that that's the fight. That's the fight I want to see next. That's the fight I want to see Joe Joyce in next. I think that that will be a great fight. I think with Michael Hunter has a lot of questions that needs to be answered, and he wants a fight bad. He got bills to pay, and you got over there, you got Joe Joyce. You know, take another step further, fight another guy that's on the top. Well, fight a guy that's on the top 10 list. We know Michael Hunter's special. You know, well, not special, but we know he's really good. You know what I'm saying? He showed what he could do when he was in there with Usyk. And then we seen when he stepped up and he also went in there again. He's no slouch. We went in there with Povetkin, and I thought he inked it out with Povetkin, you know. But hey, styles make fights. I think that this would be a good fight. I think it's a pick'em fight right here. It's 50-50 on both sides. I think that this is the next fight that I want to see. Michael Hunter versus Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce needs to be on this top 10 list. That's all.
Pick him then. Pick who you got.
You know what I'm saying? Out of this fight, I really don't know. It's gonna be a draw. Just right now, I gotta get more closer and see the guys in training camp and all that. But that's the fight I want to see. You know what I'm saying? Can he beat him? Yeah, it's possible that he could beat him. But because there's so many unanswered questions with Michael Hunter. But given Joe Joyce's size, I'll entertain a Joe Joyce beating a Michael Hunter. You know what I'm saying? Because this is a size and we haven't seen much from Michael Hunter at heavyweight.
50-50 seems like the best we're gonna get from Trill.
Yeah, so I'm sorry.
I think Joyce it'll be an interesting fight for them to see these two fight. But I think Michael Hunter will get frustrated with him, and then that's where his downfall will come as well. Like the frustration of giving everything he got, and it's just the durability of Joe Joyce. How much can he take from Michael Hunter, and then who's the last man standing when it comes to the final, win the belt? So I'll take Joyce in this fight.
Yeah. Like
if it played out like that,
I'm inching towards a Joe Joyce. You know what I'm saying? Put Joe Joyce on the list.
Wait, which one am I dealing with? Am I dealing with G or Conspira G right now? Which one am I dealing with?
Might be dealing with Trilogy because you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, it's an excellent fight. That should be Joyce's next step up fight.
Mm-hmm. Trill and G together. Yeah.
You know what? It is annoying when Trill and G. All right, so yeah,
that is a good fight, man. I can't lie, it's a good fight. Like me, if for Hunter to win, it ain't gonna be by knockout. It's definitely gonna be on points. But Joyce could knock him out. So it's a good fight, man. It's a good fight. But I'm a lean towards Hunter on points alone. Hunter ain't knocking this dude out, man. So Hunter's gonna be on that foot, on that back foot, the whole fight. You know what I mean? So which is rightfully so because this guy got a hard punch. It may be slow, but it is hard, and that dude's chin is concrete. So it's a good matchup, though. Definitely a great step-up fight for Joe Joyce. I think Frank Warren or whoever should set that up.
Hunter want to fight.
Free agent and all that.
He don't care who it is.
Yeah, I feel like this is a very interesting fight. I understand why everybody's 50-50 because boxing skill, you would lean towards Hunter. But this is one of those big fish fights to me. When you look at Joe Joyce's ability to absorb punishment, to take punches, I don't think Michael Hunter is going to be able to knock him out. I don't think he's going to be able to hurt Joe Joyce really. And so I don't know if he can get the type of respect that it would take to keep Joe Joyce off of him. Now, if you look at, like, say, Daniel Dubois hit hard enough and cracked, well enough so that Joyce had to respect what he was throwing. And even then, Joyce still didn't give him that much respect with what he was throwing. But he threw hard enough to keep Joyce off of him. But now you're talking about Michael Hunter, who's shorter, and who who I don't think has as much pop as Daniel Dubois. But with that being said, Hunter hits hard enough because he did rock Alexander Povetkin in the first round, but Povetkin recovered and was able to survive. So with that being said, I do think Joyce would break down Hunter. I see it going similar to Dubois and Joyce. I think Hunter has to work too hard to keep Joyce off of him, too hard to score points. The moment he slows down, the moment his activity his output begins to shrink, I see Joyce picking up the pace and stopping him. So I think that's the way the fight will go. If he can continue and he had the stamina to continue for 12 rounds, then Hunter can pull it out. But I see Joyce pulling that out. Oh, I didn't share it. It has Joseph Parker at number 7. So Joe Joyce versus Joseph Parker. Let's hear from you, G, because I'm curious to hear what Conspiracy G has to say about this fight, because G's take on Joseph Parker is all over the place.
Listen, IOP. I like Joseph Parker, I really do. But he just lacks a killer instinct. However, he will beat Joe Joyce. I think he'll knock out Joe Joyce. I'm going to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Yo, listen, the dude.
You think he'll knock out Granite Chin?
Yeah. Yo, listen. Parker punches pretty hard, and he's fast. So I think he'll catch Joyce with a shot he won't see. I don't believe Parker will be afraid of Joyce because of how slow Joyce is. And so that would be a major advantage that Parker has going into that fight. So I think Parker could pull it off and actually KO Joe Joyce in that one.
Dollar Bill.
I thought they were cousins. They kind of looked like each other. You know what I'm saying? I was like, they must be cousins or something. You know what I'm saying? They remind me of each other. I was like, I don't know. Is Joe Joyce Samoan or something? I don't know. But shout out to my man Joseph Parker. I think Joseph Parker got this, like G said, but I don't agree with G on the knockout. I don't see this being a knockout. I see him winning on points and distance. I see him moving around. I see Joseph Parker not sitting down enough to knock out a Joe Joyce. I seen him moving around and using movements and stepping to the side, moving his head and using his jab and getting away from that step forward jab that Joe Joyce does. It's a little slow in there. I think Parker just would be too fast. So I'm going to go with Joseph Parker on the points. I think he outpoints him.
Ned.
Unless he brings a bat in the ring.
Huh?
What are you saying, Joe?
Unless he brings a bat in the ring.
Nah. Go ahead, Ned.
I agree with Trills 100%. Joseph Parker just is like, he's on his toes. He's a fast fighter. So I just feel he won't knock out Joe Joyce. Like, I don't think that's possible for Joseph Parker to do. But I think Joseph Parker is capable to move to evade anything that Joe Joyce throws at him, keeps the distance and things like that. And at Joe Joyce's age, I don't think he'll be able to handle that type of Parker in front of him.
This is the most difficult pick thus far for me because I feel like I'm allowing Joseph Parker to live off of past performances that he hasn't really shown me he can still deliver in the future. Like his last few fights weren't the most impressive, but I keep saying to myself, like, yeah, give him time. And now he's going to fight Junior Fa. And we'll see how he looks in that fight. But I think his last few opponents was the truck driver. Leopai, I believe. Leopai. Then the other guy who, he wasn't, he wasn't even contender level, and now Junior far. So if you look at what's been done lately, to me, the guy Joe Joyce beat is more impressive than Joseph Parker's last three opponents. However, Joseph Parker does have the pedigree. He does have the history. He is the former champion. So for me, it's more of, is Joseph Parker still the same guy who, if 13 seconds more in that fight with Dillian, would have finished Dillian? The guy who, went 12 rounds with Joshua, or is this the new normal? Is he this new guy who's just taking on mediocre competition? Given the benefit of the doubt to the former champion, I would say 55-45, Joseph Parker. But I am skeptical based on what I've seen from Joseph Parker lately, and it wouldn't surprise me if Joe Joyce beats Joseph Parker. All right, so we're moving on to a tough one. Joe Joyce versus Andy Ruiz. Trill Dollar Bill, who would you pick in that fight?
You know what? This is funny because Andy Ruiz is tailor-made for Joe Joyce. The problem, because Andy Ruiz is going to be there. The problem is Andy Ruiz's hands are so dang fast. You know what I'm saying? So he has the ability to counter all the slow jabs and slow punches that Joe Joyce is going to give. I think this is a good fight, but I give it to Andy. I think Andy will get it. He's with a new team. I'm anxious to see how they do over there with the Reynosos. I'm still big on Andy Ruiz. I'm still big on Andy Ruiz. I think styles make fights. I just think that Andy got the fastest hands out of the heavyweights. And when these get in those exchange, Andy has power. And I just feel that he'll be so close and when the boy doing one jab at a time, Andy Ruiz hit him with two. You know what I'm saying?
He's hitting them with six.
And one of them is probably going to be hit him right here.
Yeah.
And have him dance in
He's
front.
going for that shot.
Yeah, he's definitely going for that shot because it's there. And he's going to have him. So I got to go with Andy on this one.
All right, Ned.
Yeah, same with Trell. So, that's a nightmare. I think that's the nightmare matchup for Joe Joyce. Like, Andy's a crazy counter puncher, and any of those slow shots he throws, he doesn't connect. Andy's gonna make him pay, and he's gonna pay badly. But I just don't know. Like that's just. I think just from what we'll see, it'll be similar to how we saw Andy beat up on Joseph Parker and AJ. That's how I think what will happen. It'll be 3 times worse. It'll be horrifying. So I go with Andy in this matchup.
I don't think Andy beat on Joseph Parker, bro. But G.
All right. I'm gonna say I do agree with Ned and Trill, but I think it's gonna be a lot closer than y'all think. This is why, and this is where I'm gonna give Joyce's Olympic pedigree some credit. My man knows how to move them legs, and this is where Ruiz has a major flaw. He's too flat-footed. If Joyce could learn from the AJ2 fight, he has the formula right there on how to beat Ruiz. You have the height and reach advantage. Yeah, you're slow, but if you just try to speed up that jab a little more and just always move back, and I know he has the legs for it. Now, the problem is if he tries to slug it out with Ruiz does have faster hands. He is a faster counterpuncher. So, Joyce will get caught with a couple of shots, but it depends on if, in fact, Joyce respects Ruiz's hands, he'll maintain the distance throughout the fight and try to win on points. If he goes, I'm going for that knockout, he might get knocked out in the process, but I don't really see Ruiz knocking out Joyce. I see him rocking Joyce throughout the fight, you know what I mean? But I just don't see, I can see it, but Joyce will have to be a fool, especially after the AJ Ruiz 1 fight, to go and do the same formula. It's like, bro, just maintain that jab. Don't go for the kill because at any time this dude could counter and cause a lot of problems for you. So I would say that Joyce could possibly pull it off. But my money really is on Ruiz because I don't know if Joyce has that type of experience in the ring to handle a type of dude like Ruiz. However, he does have the skills to win.
I don't know, man. I think like it's a very interesting fight for one of the reasons that G pointed out. Andy Ruiz, as fast as his hands are, his feet are not.
Exactly.
And his footwork isn't the best. And Joe Joyce actually has good footwork. And Joe Joyce is ridiculously athletic for his size. I've seen him do like backflips, somersaults, all types of things. And then it's like so mind-blowing to me because I'm like, someone so athletic should be faster. But for some reason, there's going to be a huge discrepancy in hand speed. It's going to be a noticeable difference. This is the tortoise and the hare analogy, Ned, right here, in terms of hand speed. However, Joshua did show that you can outbox Ruiz. And so the question is, with Joe Joyce's Olympic pedigree, will he have the ability to duplicate the blueprint that was laid forth by Anthony Joshua? However, there's another thing to consider. Joshua.
You always say no Anthony Joshua.
Exactly. Joshua got hurt by Andy Ruiz. Doesn't mean Andy Ruiz can hurt Joe Joyce. And so maybe if Joe Joyce goes in there and just goes right at him, he would finish the job. Because remember, Joshua dropped Ruiz first, and then Ruiz got up and landed that punch. Well, maybe Joyce would just drop him and finish him. So you never really know. And again, this is the problem with cross comparisons because Joshua has speed that Joyce doesn't have, but Joyce has the chin that Joshua doesn't have. And so now we're sitting here talking about what would happen if Ruiz and Joyce mixed it up. I will say this. Strength of schedule, quality of opponent goes to Ruiz. Ruiz beat arguably the number one heavyweight in the game today, made him revamp and change his entire strategy for boxing. So because of that, I have to roll with Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz has performed at the highest level. Andy Ruiz is the former unified heavyweight champion of the world. Andy Ruiz has arguably the fastest hands in the division. I think he has the fastest hands in the division. I say arguably because some people may think someone else, I don't know. I think I got to go with Andy Ruiz until proven otherwise. But again, it wouldn't shock me to see Joyce pull that out. Ruiz Ortiz.
Watch your mouth, yo.
Trill dollar bill. Who wins?
Don't disrespect
Ortiz or Joe Joyce?
I'm going for Joe Joyce. I believe, look, Father Time. Listen, I got Joe Joyce. I just don't see it. I never seen it with Luis Ortiz. There they fought the same. They got who really has Luis Ortiz fought? Except for his losses to Deontay Wilder.
Malik Scott, bro, you got to give him credit for beating the king.
I'll give him Brian Jennings before I give him Malik Scott. You know what I'm saying? That's who I'll give him. I'll give him Brian Jennings before Malik Scott. He just had to win, and after he loses to Deontay Wilder, they put him in soft, right? He just fought the guy that took a dive. You know what I'm saying? We were just talking about how Parker had two. First of all, Parker shouldn't have won in that fight with Dillian White after he had that fight with Anthony Joshua. That should have never happened. And then after he had the fight with Dillian and he had the fight with Joshua, he goes in the fight with? Alexander Flores, the guy that Ortiz just fought, who just took a dive. You know what I'm saying? I say this to say this, that Ortiz ain't fight nobody. And I think already with a guy like Du Bois, I think Du Bois would have washed Ortiz. And we seen what Joe Joyce did to Du Bois. You know, I don't see it. I do not see anything in Victor Ortiz. I believe he's been hyped up since the beginning. He's been hyped up.
Ruiz Ortiz, Victor Ortiz, same outcome. Go ahead, Phil.
Whatever. I'm calling him Victor Ortiz and Luis Ortiz because they both have been hyped up. They both have been hyped up. You know what I'm saying? And showed nothing. What has Luis Ortiz showed you? You know what I'm saying? He boxed Wilder, and we all understand that Wilder can't box. All he has is the big right hand. So that's all you had to watch out for was the big right hand. And you couldn't. You couldn't. That's the only thing you had to watch out for was the right hand. You couldn't. You know what I'm saying? So imagine what the juggernaut's going to do to you. He's just going to jab your face off, and you ain't going to be able to do nothing. You're going to get in shape to lose. I'm going with the juggernaut.
All right, G, go ahead, G, because you had a lot of reactions. Go ahead, G.
He proved who he is. He'd already done beat former champions, beat guys that's who's supposed to beat him, younger, up-and-coming, stronger guys that's supposed to beat him. We don't even know how good this guy's chin is. He was saying that.
And Joe Joyce placed in the Olympics, and Luis Ortiz never won any amateur title. Go ahead. Not that like the Olympics.
We don't even know who Ortiz was just hyped up to get knocked out by the guy that they was pushing. All these guys that the homie was fighting was just gassed up. The Dominique Brazils, all these people was hyped up. We know who the real fighters are. Let's not play games like Luis Ortiz. He doesn't even belong to be on. I'm sorry, he doesn't belong to be on it. He doesn't.
He definitely doesn't deserve to be on that list because currently on the list that I'm looking at, Usyk's not on the list, but Luis Ortiz is.
That's wow.
Go ahead, G.
I hear what you're saying, Trill.
Nah, I'm with you.
Because I do believe Ortiz will beat Joyce, and here's why. Ortiz is a southpaw, and he's actually a slick boxer, man. Put some respect on what that dude does in the ring. Like, his boxing IQ is up there. And so what I think will happen is it will be like a chess match, right? Both men have power. You know what I mean?
Who's talking? G or Conspiracy?
Conspiracy G talking. He's showing love.
Both G's are in unison right now. You know what I'm saying? Both G's. So
yeah, you and your alter ego are a pack of bums.
Walk with me. So, like, I honestly believe Ortiz has faster hands too, and Ortiz knows how to maintain that distance. I don't think he's reckless enough to try to just go for the kill against a Joyce. Joyce, however, is slower, so Ortiz could survive, and Ortiz could just win off of points in that fight. And because he's a southpaw and because he's a heavyweight, a lot of dudes in the heavyweight division have those problems. So Ortiz has certain skill sets that may be a challenge for what's his name? Joe Joyce. And so I'm leaning more on Ortiz on that fight.
This 80-year-old man is gonna get gassed after the 6th round and get stopped by Joe Joyce. We've seen it. You tell me somebody. I get it. IQ against. He's gonna look. If you put me right, you're gonna put me in here with some little. I'm gonna look like the most. I'm gonna look like Floyd against. You know what I'm saying? That's who you put them in with. Of course, you put him in there with. No, he's being able to train 24 hours a day. He's able to train. They're treating him like a fighter. Well, all these other guys got other jobs. Of course, his IQ is going to look like he's so much better than these guys. Once he stepped in there with a champion, former champion, he lost. He was doing good against a guy who couldn't box. Once he faded, they was waiting for him to fade. Once he faded, he get clipped on the chin. Now, I agree everything you're saying. He showed that he has great boxing talent against the crappy opposition that they put him against. But what did they put him against? This Olympian. You know what I'm saying? And this Olympian goes past the 6th round and hits him with something because it seems like his chin just goes away after the 7th round. But I agree with you. I see it. He has whoever you put him in front of these guys that he has beat him except for the champion.
All right, Ned, Joe Joyce or Luis Ortiz?
I 100% agree with Trails. Like, Ortiz, he's gonna gas out, or he's not durable enough to go 12 rounds with Joe Joyce. and I see the same outcome that we saw with Dubois, and it's gonna be a stoppage with 8, 9, wherever, even the 7th round, where Ortiz is countering, walking him down or whatever, and that jab is just gonna deteriorate his face, and it's just gonna be throwing the towel for that man. So I'm taking Joe Joyce over Ortiz.
Look, I'm sick of this. Like, this whole love fest for Luis Ortiz. Dude, he fought Malik Scott. Malik Scott got up, fell down, was one of the worst acting jobs I ever seen in my life. And then in his most recent fight, he fought a dude who took a dive that was so bad they held his purse for 24 hours. I don't even know if he got his purse for that fight.
Like, almost serious, bruh.
This is the guy that we're talking about. Like, he's King Kong Ortiz. Top five is a joke. Top 5 for being knocked out by Wilder twice. Like, that's what
number 5 right now.
He's number 5. And what accomplishments? I want one accomplishment. They put him over Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz got a win over Joshua, and he got a good fight with Joseph Parker. You know what I'm saying? Like, how does Ortiz?
What list is this?
Ring Magazine.
Ring Magazine.
It said this is from let me pull it up.
I think he's like
must be old. This must be old.
Nah, bro. November
21st,
2020.
Crazy.
He's even ranked high on ESPN too.
Yeah, he's big. This is what they do. I'm looking at his resume. I don't see no familiar names. I don't know nobody.
Let me just tell you like this.
That's great.
Luis Ortiz. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say there's no boogeymans. They were hyping this dude up like he was someone nobody wanted to fight. He was the boogie. There are a few things they always do since I can remember to hype someone up. The person's the boogeyman. Everyone's running from him. Everyone's running from Luis Ortiz. Everyone's running from Antonio Margarito. Everyone's running from Paul Williams. Everyone's running from Sergio Martinez. Everyone's running from Chocolatito Gonzalez. Everybody's always running from someone until they get knocked out. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, this dude, Luis Ortiz, nobody was running from him. This was a narrative they painted so that when Wilder knocks him out, they can make it seem like Wilder knocked out someone that everyone avoided. But the truth of the matter is he wasn't avoided. The truth of the matter is Joshua sent him a $5 million offer. He didn't accept it. And then after Joshua moved on, Ortiz and his team come out like, oh, we would have taken that money. It's always the same. It's always the same crap with Joshua. He makes these guys the offers. They don't take it. And then later on, they come out and admit or whatever. The bottom line for me is this. It's not what they say. It's not who he didn't fight or who's afraid to fight him. It's about who you actually fought and how did you look when you fought that person. And all I can say is this. Nothing I've seen from Luis Ortiz has impressed me. Nothing. He outboxed Wilder. So did Gerald Washington. He ended up like Gerald Washington. You know what I'm saying? He outboxed Wilder. Welcome to the club. All these dudes outbox Wilder until he knocks them the hell out. You are no different than Gerald Washington. You are no different than any of these guys. You did exactly what they do. Kudos to you. So, in fact, you got 2 bites at the apple, and you screwed it up twice. You screwed it up twice. So for me, Joe Joyce, what he did to Daniel Dubois is more impressive because I think Daniel Dubois stops Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz, to me, is one of the biggest hype jobs. Like, him and Wilder, it's fitting that they're each other's best victory opponent because that they're linked together because they're 2 hype jobs in the making from the same promotional company. But what I would tell you is this. I think Joe Joyce knocks Luis Ortiz out cold the same way Deontay Wilder did. And, I'm very confident in that. It's just a matter of when Joe Joyce will knock out Luis Ortiz.
I'm with you 100%. Thank you for feeling my same sentiments. Because I don't think that he could beat Pulev. I don't think that he could beat Rivas. I don't think that he could beat Michael Hunter. I don't think he could beat anybody that we just talked about that's on that list. I think he goes to the bottom of that list. And they got him at 5. I think he goes to the bottom of that list. I don't think he's rocking with anybody on this list.
I don't think he beats Povetkin.
I don't think he rocks with anybody.
I don't think he beats any of them guys.
Any of these guys.
Honest, yo. I don't think Luis Ortiz can beat any of those guys.
Thank you. Next.
Oh, we had the heavy. Dillian White, the body snatcher White versus Joe Joyce. Trill Dollar Bill, you look torn. Talk to me.
Okay. If this was pre-Povetkin, if this was pre-Povetkin, I would have said, you know what? Dillian got the experience. He's been in there with the guys. He's been here before, been under the big lights, all that. But I just think that things have been chipped away from Dillian's chin. You know, he should have sat that fight out. Poor Dillian. I'm thinking from all the weight issues he had, losing weight and all that depression, the physical, getting knocked down so many times and chipped. This is really hard. You know what I'm saying? Because I would have went Dillian. Not no more. This kid, Joe Joyce, has showed us something different. I'm going Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce beats him. I think at the end of the day, I think that Dillian, the fight is not, I think the fight's here. I don't think the fight's here in his body and right here. I don't think the fight's here anymore. The fight's still here. I just don't think it's here and here anymore.
All right, G.
Too many wars, too many punishments, too many punches.
All right, G.
I beg to differ. My money's on Dillian on this one, and the reason why is, although Povetkin knocked out Dillian, it was again a shot Dillian did not see. It was quick. It was the old Povetkin that hit him with that uppercut. I don't see those type of punches in Joyce's arsenal. So the only way I could see Dillian losing is based upon stamina. And in the later rounds, Dillian just is fatigued, and he's like, damn, I keep hitting this dude, and he's just not dropping. Then I can see Joyce making a good run at the end when he's exhausted. But if Dillian comes in shape like he did with Povetkin, like that shape, I do see him beating Joe Joyce. And on top of that, the difference between a Daniel Dubois and a Dillian White is Dubois was really green. Dillian is more seasoned. You know what I mean? So he's going to pick different types of shots. You know what I mean? He's probably even going to aim for the body more to slow down Joyce from being a progressor. You know? So it's like it's different than a Dubois. Salute to Dubois, but he's not a Dillian White. That's what I have to say. From his experience, I'm going to go with Dillian White. However, you make an excellent point about his chin, but if he's smart, he wouldn't allow a slow Joyce to even test his chin. He'll maintain that distance. They'll start throwing the hooks more accurate, aiming for the body, slowing down Joyce, doing stuff that Dubois should have been doing but just did not do. So I'm still going with Dillian White, with or without that Povetkin uppercut.
The Povetkin, oh yeah, I agree with you, what you were saying, G, but one thing, I don't want to dismiss this Povetkin uppercut with a punch he didn't see. Povetkin was tagging him that all night. Went back and watched that fight. Povetkin was tagging him with that uppercut a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? Povetkin was hitting him with some shots. It comes down to, with like you were saying, seasoning, right? I don't compare. I think, like he says, but has he had too much seasoning? You know what I'm saying? Where he's not, you know what I'm saying? Where he's not the same guy anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm hoping that I'm wrong, for real. I'm really hoping that I'm wrong for Dillian's sake.
You put too much salt on a dish,
Yeah, you like, you know what I'm saying? It kills the dish, you know what I'm saying? I think like he been in there with the AJs, he been in there with the Parkers, he's been dropped by these guys, the Povetkins, he's been cracked and dropped. It comes a time where you just keep getting punched and punched, where when soon as somebody does like this, you know what I'm saying? So it's to me, this. Oh, poor Dillian, man. I just hope he's recovered good. We'll see. I'll know better with this rematch against Povetkin. It was just this one thing. When people keep saying this lucky shot from Povetkin, I watched that. I went back and watched that fight 2 more times. To me, it doesn't look too much. Too
Did
much.
I say it was a lucky shot? I didn't
It's a shot he didn't see.
It was a shot he did not see.
You know what I'm saying?
That was.
He wasn't seeing that uppercut a lot in that fight. He was hit with a couple uppercuts before that. You know what I'm saying? Like
uppercuts, that's his thing. He gets hit by uppercuts. Like that's his weakness. That's his.
And Joe Joyce being an Olympian and being smart and knowing data, like he said when he was watching the Du Bois fight, he knew how to fight him. You know what I'm saying? Like what he needed to do. I'm sure that he's smart. He's smart in there, and I think he's probably going to try to figure out a way to beat the guy, the war-tested, battle-tested, who has dents in his armor, you know, champion. But I rock with Dillian White, man, and I can't disagree with you for picking him. I just think it's we come to the end of the road. I gotta let Dillian go. That's
the way it be sometimes. But sometimes you still want to go for the ride. G still want to go for the ride. So
I'm with you, G.
Let G.
I'm walking with you. I'm walking with you. You know what I'm saying? Eating cheese doodles, drinking grape soda. I'm walking with you. You know what I'm saying?
All right, Ned.
Yeah, it's a tough pick for me, but I think since Dillian's the more seasoned fighter and Joyce still is like he's still at Joyce is 35 years old, and to go in there thinking he can just jab, walk down, or sustain Dillian or keep Dillian at bay with a jab, I just don't see it happening. Or with those slow punches, I just don't see him doing this to anybody in the top 5. But Dillian alone, I don't see him taking out Dillian or hanging with Dillian.
Luis Ortiz is in the top 5.
Not
in my top 5.
Yeah, that's a mistake, man. That shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? But I respect what you're saying, man. For the first time, I'm like, me and you are like, we eye to eye right now.
I feel like Dillian White is on the same page as Joseph Parker with me. I don't know if Dillian White's the same guy that we've become accustomed to seeing. And what I mean by that is Trill brought it up. Joshua dropped him. And then we saw that Rivas dropped him. Joseph Parker dropped him. And then Povetkin knocked him out. And the thing about concussions is they say is when you get one, it becomes easier to get another one. And if you look at one of my favorite fighters still, I think in his heyday, there was nothing like him. He was one of the most unique athletes ever, Ruiz Jr. Once he got knocked out, everyone started knocking him out. It's just like people I couldn't believe would ever touch Roy was knocking him out. One of the most shocking moments in boxing to me was when the Road Warrior Glenn Johnson knocked out Roy Jones.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Glenn Johnson.
In a million years, I was like, this is to get Roy back on track. Roy's about to look good. Roy's
like
about
this.
to cook this dude.
He hit him like this on the temple.
and when I saw Roy down, and in my heart, I was like, Roy's getting up. And then when
Roy was out for the longest.
Bro, that's when the end of
the road.
That's when I was like, I can't ride with Roy no more, but thank you for all the memories, all the great fights. But that's when I knew Roy was finito, So with Dillian White, I'm really concerned about this dude because you went from getting dropped from AJ, you went from getting dropped by Joseph Parker, getting dropped by Oscar Rivas, to now being knocked out.
Don't mention my homie Chisora. In a battle, the war with him.
Yeah,
he was punched off in his face.
Chisora was outpointing him. But, and then he clipped So Dillian White has the one punch knockout power. We've seen the beautiful knockouts, but the thing that Joyce has is that chin. So we've seen Joyce with the chin. My thing with Dillian White is this: where's his punch resistance? And that's going to be the answer for this fight. If Dillian White can take Joe Joyce's punches, he can win on points. But if he can't, Joyce is going to knock him out. There's no doubt in my mind Joyce is going to knock him out. So for me, this all hinges upon Dillian White's chin and what his punch resistance look like. Of course, we're going to find out more or when he fights Povetkin in a rematch. But until he shows me that he's not where Roy was, that you touch his chin and he's going to fall out now, until you show me that, I'm with Trill, man. I gotta lean with Joe Joyce because I feel like, and I see you, G, but bro, this is boxing, dog. Like, how many times must he get knocked out before you understand?
The only difference is Joyce is a way slower fighter. Like, he should be able to see all of those punches.
Yo, he should like it was a lot of shots that when I see that, when you go watch that Povetkin and Dillian fight again.
Yo, I'm gonna be real. We talk about how slow Joyce is, but bro, he's a fighter. He's put the mitts on everyone. I saw him land shots against Usyk, bro. And Usyk is elusive. I saw him land shots against, every time Joyce is in the ring, I've seen him put his hands there. Even look at Danny Garcia and Earl Spence last night. The hand speed was apparent, the difference. Earl was faster, but Danny still clipped him several times. Timing offsets speed. And when you're an intelligent fighter, you know how to land. Miguel Cotto, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd was able to do. Miguel Cotto's one of his toughest fights because his timing is amazing. And so, like, timing is boxing IQ. Knowing when you can land, knowing when they're in range, knowing your shots, knowing yourself. So Joe Joyce has shown me. I've underrated this guy. He knows. With the slowest jab we're talking about, Dubois couldn't get away. You think Dubois wasn't trying? You think Dubois is a dummy? You think he doesn't? He just kept it planted on his face.
I was joking.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, look. Bermain Stavern. Everybody's like, Bermain Stavern was in good shape for that fight. He knew it was his last chance. He knew it was win or go home. And Joyce got him out of there. So look, he's not the fastest, but he's going to touch Dillian. And when he touches Dillian, how's that chin going to hold up? That's my question mark. Remember, when last seen, Dillian was knocked out before his body hit the floor. So if Dillian looks good against Povetkin, I'll give you that. If Dillian takes some shots against Povetkin and he eats them, and then that's when I'll attribute it to he lost weight too fast, this and that, and other things. But I need to see that punch resistance is still there. Otherwise, I'm picking Joe Joyce. And when last seen, Dillian White was on his back, so I'm picking Joe Joyce. Right now, at this moment, I'd go with Joe Joyce. If I had to. Yeah. Alexander Povetkin versus Joe Joyce. I'm gonna go with G on this one. Let's see what G got to say.
Let's be honest. Although he knocked out Dillian White, he's way past his prime. He's at a major height disadvantage against a Joe Joyce, and Joe Joyce's chin is just way more sturdier than a Dillian White. I don't see Povetkin beating that dude. I just the different like simulations that are running through my mind, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, Povetkin looks a lot slow. He's no longer the Russian Mike Tyson. You know what I'm saying? If anything, he's the Russian Triller Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? And that ain't the same, you know? So I think Joyce, all he has to just do is just mow him down. So I think this is where I'm like, out of all of the names on that list, this is Joyce's easiest fight. It's actually Povetkin. Real talk. Povetkin's done. Like, he ain't the same. He's just not the same. And his attributes, he's like, what, 6'1", 6'2", going up against.
So what happens if I mean, I don't want to. It seems like you're leaning towards Dillian White in the rematch with Povetkin. I still don't even know who I'm going to pick because I don't know if Dillian White will ever have the punch resistance he once had before. Like Trill's saying, like when you keep chipping away and it just gets to the point where you touch on Amir Khan, for example. But
No,
all right,
I agree with y'all, but Joyce isn't Dillian. What I'm saying is, if Dillian has a game plan to win, because remember the first couple of rounds he was actually winning. He went to go for the exchange. He slipped and caught the uppercut. So he made a major mistake. However, Joyce, I believe, like, he's not going to make that mistake. They're not the same type of fighters. And Joyce relies more on the 1 and the 2. So it's like he's more straight punches, and he has a major reach advantage against a Povetkin. Povetkin's going to have to work overtime to catch Joyce. Joyce just has to be himself. Like, even the lack of speed, I don't think he's even going to play a factor against a Povetkin. Let's just say he throws a jab, Povetkin slips that. Povetkin has to go overboard to try to reach him. And on top of that, even if he catches him with an uppercut, Joyce is one of the few guys in the heavyweight division that I'm pretty sure he's going to eat it like a Scooby snack. So I just feel like all the attributes that Joyce has is tailor-made for Povetkin.
All right. Dollar Bill.
Povetkin. Let's put some respect on Povetkin's name. I think that we overlook Povetkin. We give people that we like a little too much credit because we like them, right? And we tend to not show light on the people that we kind of dislike. Povetkin is no slouch, and that's why Dillian got KO. The only people that ever beat Povetkin was Hall of Famers, or soon to be Hall of Famers. We have Klitschko, who won the unanimous decision, and then you got Anthony Joshua, who won by TKO. These are greats. He only lost to greats. We see every fight that we see Povetkin in, he loses the first couple rounds. We even see him down. But what happens? He always comes and puts somebody on their butt. We were so gassed, and I was so gassed on poor Dillian. I was overlooking Povetkin, saying he was going to go in there and just wash him because of my love and for Dillian. And was not thinking that Povetkin is a live dog. Always been. If you're going to beat him, you're going to be great. Dillian proved he wasn't great. That's why he didn't beat a Povetkin. Povetkin is older now. Much older guy now. And I believe that a younger Joe Joyce can outpoint a Povetkin. But in no way in form do I think that he needs to go in here and trade with this guy and take any unnecessary shots. I think he needs to play it safe, and I think he needs to box. Because anybody that goes in there and gets a little too confident with the great Povetkin, they get dropped on their butt and they lose. His resume, if you go look, he don't got no guys with 7 losses. The only person he got in there was Hassim Rahman. That's the only person he got on his record with 7 losses. Everybody else, even the most losses they got is 3 losses. This guy is fighting guys with good records, undefeated fighters, people with only 1 loss, maybe only even 2 or 3, but he's not fighting guys with like 14, 10 losses. Povetkin is the real deal. We just overlook him because he's from another country, and we probably don't like him because he's not that eye-catchy. You know what I'm saying? He ain't flashy. You need to wear some Pradas or something, But the boy can fight.
He needs Sean Porter stylist.
He needs Sean Porter stylist, But the boy can fight.
Showtime Caden left. His clothes was too loud. Showtime Caden left.
Couldn't do it. The tacky couldn't stay on you. You couldn't wear the tacky. You couldn't stay on you. You know what I'm saying? With that being said, I think a Joe Joyce can because what G was saying with the age of Alex Povetkin, I think that the age will play a factor in that, and Joe Joyce will take him out. But not once. And I apologize too, because I disrespected without doing my homework and just really looking, doing my due diligence. I disrespected Povetkin. And I didn't give his credit from Huck to he has some people on his resume. Tackham gave him his first loss. He has some people on his resume You know, he needs to put some respect on his name, and that's what I think happened with Dillian. Dillian didn't respect who he was in there with, and that's why he got put on his butt. I hope in the rematch that he goes in there with some respect, because if he goes in there thinking he can take shots, once you get lazy, that's when Alex Povetkin can take you out. And I think that Joe Joyce can inch a decision. That's just how I feel. But shout out to Alexander Povetkin, and I'm sorry for not giving you your just due.
All right, Ned.
Yeah, this is a tough pick. You guys brought up some great points, but I still don't see Joe Joyce outclassing Alexander Povetkin. So I would go with Alexander Povetkin in this because he is the more experienced fighter. He's been there. He's been against greats, and he knows how. It's just a different tier of fighters now. So I'll take Povetkin over Joyce.
I'm going to have 2 picks.
Go ahead, yo. You're allowed to.
I'm going to have 2 picks. Showtime. This is Showtime Caden's pick. Showtime Caden. So I can't be wrong now because I'm gonna have 2 picks, and then whatever one happens, I'm gonna say Showtime Caden. As Showtime Caden, this is what I believe. I believe that Alexander Povetkin has boxing IQ over Joe Joyce. I believe that his boxing IQ and his style is unique. His style is one that is rarely duplicated. You don't see fighters with that style anymore. And so has Joe Joyce seen enough of that style, and will he be able to offset the things, the little hitches, the little tricks, the little setups that Povetkin's doing from round to round to round?
He sets traps. Yo,
exactly.
You're the man, bro, because nobody noticed that. Like, but you just put it out. You think he's losing a round, but he's setting traps. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you watch the Dillian fight again, he's letting Dillian throw that little looping. Go ahead, kid. Do your thing, man. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No worries. And so as Showtime Caden over here, you know, is this how we get down? Showtime Caden, what I want to say to everyone is I think Povetkin is too crafty, boxing IQ, power, the way he sets up shots, he's going to be too much for Joe Joyce, and he may not knock him out, but he's going to get inside, and he's going to do enough work to outpoint him. So that's Showtime Caden. Now, Caden thinks that Alexander Povetkin has seen his better days. And Dillian White dropped him and was outpointing him. And if Dillian White had a little bit more respect for what Alexander Povetkin had in the tank in that moment, he would have survived that round and he would have won the fight. An easy decision or a stoppage. I think what happened with Dillian White was he got too comfortable in the ring. And I think one of the great things that Derek James told Earl Spence in the fight last night was Danny's known for knocking people out when they play around. Mm-hmm. So, like, you might want to stop it. You know what I mean? Like, and, you know, Povetkin, someone should have told Dillian White, Povetkin's known for knocking people out when they think it's over, or like when you sleep.
You know, Povetkin, he plays sleeping. You know what I'm saying? He let people beat him.
Yeah, he's not going for the body. He's playing possum.
Yeah, exactly.
He's going for the body. So then Dillian thought he was going to go for another body shot. Dillian went like this, and then it was done. And
that's how he got all them other fighters too. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. And so another thing Povetkin does, and I told G this before. We used to train, and there's this one dude, because everyone told him how fast I was, and he was like, and I was training, and he was watching me. He was like, he's not that fast. And then they were like, okay, well then go spar him. And then when we were sparring, he couldn't see. We had to stop because he could never see. I was like, bro, I'm gonna kill you. Like, and he was like, yo, I didn't know you were that fast. And he's like, well, I was watching you hitting the mitts, I didn't know you were that fast. And I'm like, you think I hit it the mitts as fast as I can every single time that I train? Like, and what Povetkin is that same thing. You don't know how fast he is. He doesn't throw every punch as fast as he can. He's not showing you because he's not allowing you to time his speed. So the things he does are so crafty. But look at how fast that uppercut was.
That was crazy.
When he caught Dillian. Dillian didn't even know he had that gear. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't know he had that gear. That's why he felt comfortable enough to do that. But if Povetkin would have went out there showing how fast he can throw and doing all that, Dillian would have known, and he never would have opened himself up to being caught with that uppercut. So I say, Povetkin, he's very intelligent, but I think that loss was more about Dillian's mistake and not about Povetkin still being the dangerous, deadly fighter that he once was. So in a rematch, I say Dillian White cleans up, and then Dillian White would have won, or Dillian White will win. And I say that against Joe Joyce, Povetkin won't be the same. Povetkin wouldn't be the same. Povetkin wouldn't enjoy, and Joyce would win. So although I'm not the type of person, I don't want two picks. Realistically, what I think is this. I think that's about 50-50 fight, to tell you the truth. And the reason why I think it's a 50-50 fight is Povetkin's style, his IQ, his craftiness, the way he sets things up. If Joyce can't offset that, Joyce will lose. If Povetkin is not able to do what he used to do, if he's not able, Joyce will outpoint him, possibly even stop him. With the age being a factor, like I said, I'd go 51-49 Joyce, and maybe I'm a victim of what Trill said. I'm not giving Povetkin his just due. And maybe I just like Joyce better. But I'd go 51-49 Joyce if I had to pick.
Yeah, just for him just being fresher.
Yeah.
Fresher.
This next one, though. Yeah, we'll just add it. This next one, though. Oh, man. This next one, though. Everybody. Deontay Wilder. Can Joe Joyce beat Deontay Wilder? I'm going to start one off with Ned.
All right. Can I get two answers?
The truth.
Can I get two answers?
No.
Well, if we're going off for Wilder's last fight, Joe Joyce is mopping the floor with that, man. Clean. He's cleaning his clock and teaching that boy a lesson. He's wiping. It's KO. Joe Joyce KO if we're going off of Deontay Wilder's last match. But if we're going off of the Bronze Bomber, I don't know. This is a tough matchup. I don't know that granite chin to Joe Joyce versus that right hand, and we all know it's gonna be an explosive match. Well, it's gonna be a heavy hit. I don't know. It's just gonna be a weird matchup. I can't even imagine those two getting in the ring, but that's a crazy matchup to see someone eating those right hands and just throwing jabs or just playing it 12 rounds till they get that opening and get that window. So like my man Caden said in the last round, I'm gonna go 51-49 Wilder.
Renez going Wilder. All right. Dollar bill.
Deontay Wilder's size and his the reach that he will have. He's gonna have a long reach. He's gonna have a longer reach. He's gonna be the taller guy. You're asking me, do I believe in Wilder's right hand? That's what you're asking me, right? That's what the question is.
I mean, I guess.
Do I believe in Wilder's right hand? I believe in Wilder's right hand. I really do. I don't. Even though we know who he knocked out, he still knocked out, which is very impressive to knock out 40 guys. You know what I'm saying? You know how hard it is to knock somebody out. You know what I'm saying? I believe that a Deontay Wilder can pull this off. I think that a Deontay Wilder could pull this off. The reason why I say that, I think a Joe Joyce will allow a Deontay Wilder to hit him too many times.
Yo, Phil, I'm so proud, man.
I
was gonna say the same thing. I was gonna say the same exact thing.
With his thing with Dubois, it showed me Dubois. It showed me a lot. Even though later on he says he's been punched by much harder punches, you know. Just watching his last performance, I don't think that he'll be able to constantly take those right hands from a Wilder. I think he has a better boxing IQ, but I also think that Wilder also showed that he can, if he can, listen, Wilder's, to me, his most impressive fight was the fight that he fought against Stavern. Now, if Wilder goes out there and he goes straight at Joe Joyce and he's throwing them right hands, and then he realizes that he can't knock him out. And then he starts to box like how he does Stavern and giving it to Wilder. I think Wilder can do it. I think Wilder can pull this off.
G.
All right. I'm gonna refer back to my comment that Eddie Hearn made, because they asked Eddie Hearn about Joe Joyce versus Wilder. And Eddie Hearn, again, was like, listen, there's a difference between British boxing and world level boxing. He's not ready yet. And I agree wholeheartedly with Eddie Hearn. Joyce has a tendency to take shots to give shots. You don't want to play that game with a dude like Wilder. I'm going to be honest. I don't want to sound like I'm being a wild dad. All jokes aside, I believe Wilder could actually break his face. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing, you could take a lot of shots, but that's a different type of shot, you know? So, like, we've seen Fury get dropped by that shot, you know? So now, Ned, in Ned's credit, I will give Ned this one thing. Will Wilder be the same after the Fury rematch? Yeah. So there is a big question mark. But I like to imagine that was Tyson Fury. Joyce is not a Tyson Fury. And one thing I do know, Wilder knows how to maintain that distance, and he's real sharp with that right hand. His timing, his explosiveness with that right hand is like spot on. So although Wilder may not have the best resume, based upon that eye test, when he swings and he connect, it's lights out. So Joyce, he's going to give Wilder too many opportunities to connect with the right. Unless Joyce provides a new strategy against a Wilder, which I don't necessarily see as of right now, based upon what I've seen with him and Dubois. Because again, Dubois landed a couple of rights during that fight. And Dubois is far from a Wilder, in my opinion. I think Wilder would definitely knock out Joe Joyce. And it'll be a good fight, too. I really want to see that fight.
So, responding to Eddie Hearn, I think Eddie's doing a little, tit for tat, I got your back with Frank Warren. Because if he knows that there's a difference between British level boxing and world-class boxing, why did he let Kell Brook fight Triple G? If he knows there's a difference between British boxing and world-class boxing, why did he pick Povetkin to fight Dillian White? Why did he pick Andy Ruiz? And so, like, the reason why I'm stating all this is just to point out the fact that Eddie Hearn doesn't really know it all. Because if he did, he would have avoided those mistakes, right? So Eddie Hearn's not the great source to, like, quote as if he knows world-class boxing. Because, the matchroom matchmakers have been pretty wrong a few times on quite a few big ones, I'd say. Unless, of course, they wanted those guys to lose all along, which, some would say don't put that past Eddie. Now, getting back to this Joe Joyce and Deontay Wilder, Deontay Wilder doesn't have the arsenal that Daniel Dubois has. He doesn't have the jab Daniel Dubois has. He doesn't have the hooks Daniel Dubois has. And he may not even have the right hand that Daniel Dubois has. Like, I know that people are infatuated with Deontay Wilder's right hand, but when you break it down, to me, it's not the right hand it's the timing of the shot that gets the guys out of there. Because, for example, you know, you brought up the fact he dropped Fury twice, but you left out the fact that he didn't drop Fury at all in the second fight, and he landed that right hand a lot, especially in the second round. I saw him land it like 4 times, and Fury just ate it. So Fury has a questionable chin. So if you're talking about Fury was dropped by S.S. Cunningham and another person, I can't remember off the top of my head, but my point is S.S. Cunningham, not a big fella. We've seen Fury hurt and rock several times, and Fury would tell you he's been hurt and rocked himself several times before. But you know what they say about Tyson Fury, in order to beat him, you got to nail him to the canvas. That's the only way you're going to beat him. Because how do you think he got that reputation? Because he gets knocked down, but he'll get up again. And he'll keep fighting. And that's who Tyson Fury is. And so Deontay Wilder couldn't hurt Tyson Fury in the second fight. I don't know how good Deontay Wilder's right hand is. I know it was good. It's good enough to knock out a certain fighter. A fighter who's not there to win. A fighter who's not confident that they can win. I know he can knock those guys out. But when he fought, the only guy that I believe walked in the ring thinking genuinely in his heart of hearts that I'm going to win this fight, he couldn't knock him out. That's all I know. So I can't really sit here and say that his right hand isn't good. His right hand is bad. I'd say this. His right hand is elite. Is it better than Dubois? I don't know. Is it better than Klitschko's? I don't know. Is it better than Joshua's? I don't know. I know he hits hard enough with the right hand to knock people out. That's what I know. And
Drop a senior citizen.
yes. Does he hit hard enough with the right hand to knock out Joe Joyce? Remains to be seen. Does he have enough skill to even land the right hand against Joe Joyce? Because remember, Dubois has a variety of punches. Offensively, Dubois is gifted. Remember, Dubois took a knee after he hit Joe Joyce with everything and realized all he got's a pimple mark. That's when he knew he was in trouble. So again, for all the people who act like Ruiz beating Joshua proved that Wilder can beat Joshua, my question is, does Wilder get back up from that left hook? We don't know. It's a lot of things we don't know. What I can tell you that I don't have faith in Wilder is I don't have faith that Wilder would land the right hand on Joe Joyce. I don't. Even if he landed the right hand, I think Joyce would take a few of them. But I don't think he lands it. I don't think he has the arsenal. I think Joe Joyce has the pedigree, Olympic silver medalist going up against the Olympic bronze medalist, right? But I don't think, and remember, he stopped Stavern. You know, Wilder knocked out Stavern when he was fresh off the couch. But in their first fight, he couldn't knock him out. In reality, I think this is a good fight. Both men have each other's weakness. Wilder has dynamite right hand. And Joe Joyce has granite chin. What it all boils down to is this. Whose superpower, whose gift is going to hold up on the night? Joyce's chin holds up, Wilder's gone. Wilder's right hand, Joyce is gone. But at this particular point in time, if I had to pick, I'd pick Joe Joyce just because I'm impressed with the guys Joe Joyce has fought more than I'm impressed with the guys that Wilder has fought, with the exception of Tyson Fury, and he lost to Tyson Fury. So I'm just going on strength of schedule and accomplishments here. So I'm going to roll with Joe Joyce because I'm still waiting for Wilder to show me something. This next one,
Ned's hero.
Should be interesting. Anthony Joshua. Can Joe Joyce beat Anthony Joshua?
All right, let me tell you something. When it comes to boxing, well, world championship level boxing, it takes a different class, a different pedigree, different character to maintain that persona, that environment, that lifestyle. And we saw when Ruiz obtained it, he didn't know how to keep it. And Joe Joyce has not experienced being a champion yet. But let me take that back. He's the British silver British.
He's not champion. He's not world level champion. He's
local champion. Yeah. So he doesn't know what comes with that, like what you have to do to maintain that. So just because he doesn't have that experience, and he's at 35 years old, I don't see him. I have Joshua outclassing him, out experiencing him on the world stage level. So I pick Joshua.
G.
Yeah, I got Joshua. Like, what's his name? It's too slow. And again, this where I'm gonna give AJ his credit. He has way more punches in his arsenal than a Wilder. So I don't even see Joyce being that much of a threat. Unless we are saying Joyce's chin is just certified bulletproof. I'm sorry, man. I could see either left hook, straight rights, uppercuts. He gonna catch everything from AJ. You know, like, so he's too slow. Like, the fighters that AJ have been up against, that he's been up against, the hand speed that he's dealt with, to go with a Joe Joyce, I think he's gonna see everything like the Matrix, bro. Like, I'm being honest, man. I just don't see Joyce knocking out AJ. I'll say this: if this happens, then I'm gonna say Angel Garcia's statement. AJ lost. What's his name? Joe Joyce didn't beat him. AJ beat himself. You know what I mean? Because that would be the example where it's like, just like I honestly believe AJ beat himself when he fought Ruiz the first time. Because, you had to win. You just wanted to go for the kill to impress U.S. Audience. And it's like, bro, you didn't need to do that. But he did it anyways, and he paid for it. So I'm going with a more mature Anthony Joshua, who has been in the ring with world-class champions countless of times. And Joyce, to me, is like, I'm sorry, I still won't say that he's world-class level yet. So I think AJ has the tools, the experience, the speed, the angles, the reach that will capitalize off of a Joe Joyce. So definitely AJ by knockout.
Drill Dollar Bill.
Anthony Joshua is special. Nobody's beating this kid. Everybody want to mention the Andy Ruiz. It was a hiccup. Later on in life, we might get a book or a movie to tell us what really happened. AJ, stand-up guy. Never make no excuses. Fight everybody you put in front of him. Big challenger after big challenger after big challenger. I like him. He beats everybody. Beats everybody. AJ. Right. He's my heavyweight.
Yeah, Trill's fine like the heavyweight. For me, this is the difference between world class and
British boxing.
Yeah. So I think that's what Eddie Hearn was trying to allude to. But not necessarily with like Wilder. I don't see that being the comparison, but I think these next two are going to be that comparison. I think Josh was faster, more skilled, probably even higher IQ when you look at the fights he's been in, the experience at the elite level. I think Joshua, if Dubois was able to do what he did to him and outpoint him, and Dubois is not even as big as Joshua getting in there. And I think Joshua's faster than Dubois. I think he hits harder than Dubois, just given the fact that he's knocked out more elite fighters. He's even stopped guys who've never been stopped before, like Povetkin. I just think, and Povetkin's not an easy guy to knock out, i.e. Dillian White. You can ask Dillian if you think, it's easy to knock out Povetkin. So
gotta be special to stop Povetkin.
Yeah. And so the bottom line is he's going to step in with that guy, and I just think it's too much skill, too much talent, too much experience at world-class level. I think AJ will beat him. AJ will outpoint him, definitely stop him. I've never seen this guy really hurt, so I can't until I see him hurt like that. I can't say I haven't seen any signs of him being stopped. So we'll move on to the final guy on this list, which is Tyson Fury. Joe Joyce versus Tyson Fury. Trill Dollar Bill, who you got?
Yeah, listen, Tyson Fury is another guy. He's another guy. I think Tyson Fury's special. Listen, there's only two heavyweights. Number one is Anthony Joshua. Number two, I got Tyson Fury. You can have it, Tyson Fury, and then have AJ next, whatever. But these are the two elite heavyweights. It's these two and nothing. Okay? So if you want to pick, these two beat everybody. On that list, any given Sunday, these two are amazing. These two are special. Tyson Fury is just too much. It'll be gypsy on gypsy, but this gypsy will just be too big, you know? Tyson Fury, I got Tyson Fury.
All right,
The big gypsy. Big gypsy eats a little gypsy.
All right, G.
Yeah, I also got Tyson Fury, man. Tyson Fury is like a heavyweight, welterweight, man. His footwork is just too superior for a Joe Joyce, and he's gonna run circles around him. Fury knows how to do that jab while moving, a double jab, triple jab. It's gonna frustrate Joe Joyce. I just don't see him like hanging with a Fury. Now, Fury's not gonna knock him out. I don't believe Fury will knock him out, but Fury is going to outpoint this man. It's going to look embarrassing. It's going to be a one-sided fight. You know, again, Joyce is just too green at this level. Fury's just a different beast, and he's just, again, taller, longer reach, crazier footwork. He's more fluid in the ring. Joyce is going to have a hard time, man. So
Yeah.
it'll be
active now.
It'd be dope to watch, but it'll just be one-sided. So I'll just be like, damn, it might be a boring fight, to be honest, but it'll be boring. However, Fury will still pull off the victory.
All right, Ned.
Man, it's got honestly, this is where you see like everybody's been saying, it's a huge separation between AJ, Fury, and everybody else in this division because they take themselves, they box at a high level. And for Joyce to step in the ring with Fury will box circles around that man. And I don't see Joyce with what I've seen from him so far, I don't see him having a strategy that can defeat Fury. So I got Fury all day.
So this is a nickname that was given to me in the gym, and I'm going to pass it on to Tyson Fury because I think it suits him very well, and I think he'll do the name justice. When I think of Tyson Fury, I think of heavy weather. What you say, G?
I totally forgot about we used to call you that. That's funny.
So he's like a heavyweight Floyd Mayweather. Like it's just his ring IQ, his boxing ability, what he does in the ring. It's like a heavyweight guy doing this. You usually don't see that. And so I think, like, to me, when I see Tyson Fury, I think heavy weather. And so that's what Tyson Fury is to me. He's heavy weather, and I just see him pot-shotting, moving, slipping, battering Joe Joyce for 12 rounds. And, you know, I honestly think, regardless of a granite chin, this would be the fight that would be in danger of being stopped because it will be a landslide on points, and Fury's just landing big shots because Fury doesn't necessarily have that one-punch KO power, but he has that batter you for 12 rounds type of power. And to me, that's the worst type of beatings where everyone's like, just stop it already. Like, you know, so I could see that happening with Tyson heavy weather Fury. You know, that would be my pick. I'll close with this. I've underestimated fighters before. Joe Joyce is definitely a fighter that I underestimated. He's better than I thought. Maybe he'll shock us. Maybe he won't. But the beauty of his performance against Daniel Dubois is we all want to see him now in there with better competition, and we're watching, and we can't wait for what's next.
Please like and subscribe. Let us know how you feel. And check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And also, please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.
we could have been flawless. Flying up to make people's mouths drop jawless. How can 2 years be erased in 1 August? And you know I have my pride, so I had to get brolic. All in all, I can't call it. Just know you're my queen. Wish I was denim, cause then I be in your jeans. Can't fight fate, and you've been loving me since your teens. But when you can't move forward, you gotta wipe your slate clean.